asked about the meaning of about the right belief in Allah Ta'ala, he mentioned that these are the attributes of my Lord. Meaning, after Surah Al-Ikhlas was revealed to him, he said these are the attributes of my Lord. So the answer of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam indicates that Allah is attributed with attributes, and just as Allah Himself does not resemble the creations, the attributes of Allah don't resemble the attributes of the creation. So we said Allah is attributed with power, but not like our power. Our power is what? With a physical body, for example. We say Allah is attributed with knowledge. Allah's knowledge is not like our knowledge. Our knowledge is what? With the brain and the working of the heart. So some of the nation nuts, they say that God created for Himself a brain in order for Him to think. This is kufr upon kufr. Kufr, blasphemy upon blasphemy. The brain, again, because they claim that God created Himself, which the statement itself is what? An absurd. I try to explain this to these guys. They're like stuck on this. They keep repeating it. Dude, something that doesn't exist cannot act. They're like, and it's amazing because all they do is repeating what Elijah told them.
And if by their statement they're saying that God was weak.
Of course.
They're saying that God needed a brain.
Of course, it leads to all of that. If He didn't have a brain according to them, because according to them He needs a brain to think. Well, prior to being able to think, how could He have made something? Do you follow? I mean, I'm not saying, of course, we don't attribute thinking to Allah. Say Allah knows, and Allah knows without what? A mental process. Okay, Allah knows. So the knowledge of Allah Ta'ala is not a thinking. Allah knows what we think, but Allah Ta'ala is not attributed with a thinking process. Allah does not resemble the creations. That's it. And Allah, let's mention another verse from the Quran. Allah revealed in Surah Al-Nahl, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, and another verse in Surah Al-Nahl, the Surah of the bee. Al-Nahl means the bee. This is verse, we'll mention the, I don't remember the reference now. The Al-Nahl 60, this one we mentioned. It means Allah has attributes different from the attributes of others. Copy that and I'll get the other verse. So the verse is telling us, indeed, Allah Ta'ala has attributes, but not like the attributes of the creations. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى.
Say Allah resembles any other creation.
Allah does not. Right? If a person says Allah is similar to any of the creations, it's blasphemy. Again, go back to the golden rule, one of them. Whatever you imagine in your mind, that's different from you. The one who understands that, inshallah, they are protected from adopting a bad belief. Because you don't want to commit shirk, to attribute partners to Allah, praying to an idol, praying to an image in your mind. This is what shirk. In the time of the Arabs, at the time of the Prophet, that those people, their main hang-up was what? Praying to idols. For the Christians, their thing was what? Praying to Jesus and attributing Godhood to Jesus. Other people, some who claim to be a Muslim, they attribute to Allah location, size, shape, form. All of this is shirk. All of it is shirk. Even if the person doing it doesn't realize what he's doing is shirk, it's still shirk. Because in reality, he's not worshiping Allah. And what is shirk? to worship something other than Allah or something along with Allah. So the one who's praying to something with a form is not worshiping Allah. And that's why we have to say that that belief is blasphemy. You don't say, oh, I don't know what's in his heart, how can I trust? No, he doesn't. Someone tells you God is a human, you say he's not a Muslim.
Right.
Doesn't matter what he calls himself.
Right. You made it obvious.
He made it obvious, yes. No, indeed, we don't know what's in the person's heart. Like if he doesn't say, person may have a blasphemous belief, but he never said it. I don't know what's in his heart. But somebody tells you God is a man, we say this is not a Muslim. Because he's telling you he doesn't believe in Islam. The same applies with the rules of the religion. We know that there are matters that are what? Forbidden. Somebody says, well, this is halal. And you say, this is part of the religion. And the person rejects what's in what the Prophet taught. He's not a Muslim. Can't be a Muslim and he rejects what the Prophet taught. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Doesn't make any sense in reality. I will mention and give you another verse which is very strong about this issue of Allah not being similar to the creations. I don't see the reference though, so I'll have to look it up for you, inshallah. Let me give it one more try. It's also in Surah An-Nahl. Yeah, I don't remember. Well, I'll give you the reference, but also from An-Nahl, another verse. It means do not resemble Allah to anything. فَلَا تَضْرِبُوا لِلَّهِ الْأَمْثَالَ.
And it says exactly like that?
فَلَا تَضْرِبُوا, do not strike. فَلَا تَضْرِبُوا لِلَّهِ, do not make or put forth for Allah أَمْثَالَ, a likeness. Do not put forth for Allah, do not make a likeness or resemble Allah unto anything.
So what do the Wahhabis and what do they say about this verse?
Well, they will tell you that God has eyes and fingers that are dissimilar from our eyes and fingers. They don't understand it categorically. When we say Allah doesn't resemble anything, we mean it absolutely categorically.
Yeah.
What they mean is God is a body that's not identical to other bodies, even if they don't use the word B-O-D.
Well, that still resemble Allah.
Of course,
That's what I said, that's what
because
I
they're
said.
attributing size, shape, and form.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that because they think God has to have a size, shape, and form. Because if not, according to them, you're claiming he doesn't exist.
Well, they're saying the God of the creation.
Of course, that's what they mean. This is the meaning. This is why we say they're mushriks. This is why we say they're mushriks. They are people of shirk. But they don't realize it.
What they saying?
They don't realize it, no. So these two verses are very strong for clearing Allah Ta'ala from being similar to the creations. And inshallah we'll continue on this topic bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So the author goes on to say that everything other than Allah is created. And let's copy a statement from Shaykh Abdullah. Very nice. Very powerful statement. Copy it. If you haven't memorized it, memorize it. If you memorized it, still copy it. It's good to have that reinforcement in the mind, inshallah. Shaykh Abdullah said, Allah exists without a beginning and everything else exists with a beginning. Then he goes on to say, Allah is the creator and everything else Allah exists without a beginning and everything else exists with a beginning. Allah is the creator and everything else is a creation. This is Tawheed, talking about the oneness of Allah Ta'ala. That only Allah Ta'ala creates. No one is the creator except Allah. And the one who is the creator is necessarily different from all the creations. You can't. This is invincible.
Right.
You have an invincible belief about the creator. No one can defeat you. MashaAllah. Because it's the truth. How are you going to argue? How are you going to defeat the truth? You can't. You can't. It's the truth. Somebody says 5 and 5 is 10. Can anybody discredit it?
No.
This other stuff people believe in, you see it's false. Talk about the dude praying to Donald Trump. Literally, again, I don't mean figuratively. Literally worshiping Donald Trump.
Sick.
Okay, let's continue. So it says Allah is the only one attributed with eternality, meaning beginninglessness, exists without a beginning. That is, Allah has no beginning, and likewise Allah's attributes are beginningless. The attributes of other than Allah are created, because the beings are created, and meaning other than Allah, everything that exists other than Allah is created, and the attributes of those things are also created. I have a beginning, and my attributes have a what? Beginning. Allah has no beginning, and His attributes have no beginning. This is easy to understand. It says, the attributes of other than Allah are created. They change from one state to another. Allah is clear of change. Allah is the one who creates changes in the creations, but Allah does not change. So the scholars, they said the same. Allah changes the creations, but He doesn't change. Allah changes the creations, because we're going from what? One state to another, to another, and another. Allah changes the creations, but Allah doesn't change. Yeah. Tawheed, this is it. The author goes on to say, Allah is the one who creates development in the creations, but Allah does not develop. Because development, what happens? If something develops, either it's going to what, get better or get worse. Right? Yeah, it's a development. So if something got better, then they're claiming that the previous condition was inferior to the what? Current condition. You follow? Something gets better, you're saying what it was before was inferior to what it is now. And if something got worse, then you're saying it became inferior after having been better, meaning superior to its previous condition.
Right.
So Allah Ta'ala is not attributed with change. Right. This happens with us as the creations.
They're trying to preach the Christians on there. They get tired at the same things. You know, they say they created and then rested.
Yeah, resting shows what? Weakness.
Yeah.
So resting would not be among the attributes of God. But we talked about Ayatul Kursi.
Yeah.
So Allah does not what? Get tired, does not get exhausted, does not sleep.
Sleep or slumber, none of them things.
Alhamdulillah.
None of them befit Allah.
No, they don't befit Allah. When you have that foundation, it's easy to understand. So now we'll read some, and inshallah we'll go into, how much time, Saeed? Okay, so let's continue here, inshallah. So there's a chart, and it mentions what befits Allah, what doesn't befit Allah.
Which page?
Page 41.
Thank you. Sure.
Afwan. So the author said Allah is beginningless, and all the creations have a beginning. Allah originated them. They weren't existing, and Allah brought them into existence. And we already broke down that something could not what? Make itself exist. If it didn't exist, how could it make itself exist? Okay. Allah is everlasting. Allah has no end to His existence. It is rationally or mentally possible for all the creations to come to an end. Because what did we say? Some of the creations, what's the operative word? Creations, right? They have, so if it's a creation, it has a what? Beginning. But some of the creations don't come to an end. No. So if we talk about having a beginning, and then you have, for example, paradise, al-Jannah. it lasts forever. And when we say forever, we mean literally forever. So it has a what? Start, but no what? End. But this is different. So we said future infinity is different from what they call past infinity. Past infinity can't exist. You follow?
And you never
But
get to the present.
you could never reach the present, but we did reach the present. So paradise, a billion years from now, there will be another what? Day after that. And a billion years after that, there'll be what? Another day and another day. And it's conceivable. Your mind can conceive that it just keeps what? Going on. It doesn't end. But you cannot say that there was what? Past infinity. Because if somebody says that the past was infinite, then how could you ever reach the present? You could never. Because how could you ever cross infinity? Just like you cannot reach the last day of paradise. Because paradise doesn't have what? A last day. You can reach the day up to that point. That's the last day up to that point. But there'll be what? Another day and another day and another day. So if somebody said that the past went back forever, then how would you cross infinity to reach the present? You can't. So the past has to have a what? It has to have a start. Okay? And paradise has, in our diagram, has a start, but it lasts forever into the future. So that's why we say that Allah's existence is everlasting, and there are creations that are everlasting, but they are what? Created by Allah, and they're only everlasting because Allah specified them. And what is paradise? Event after event, occurrences after occurrences, going on forever. Okay? So Allah Ta'ala, we don't say His existence is an occurrence, an event, a happening. Allah Ta'ala existed and there was nothing else.
Allah created all of it.
Allah created the events, all the occurrences.
Events is a creation.
Event, yeah, something. When you say an event, you say, when did it happen?
When it happened.
Yeah, event. The event, you speak about that event, and you say, oh, well, when did it happen? An occurrence. An occurrence, it wasn't, and then it started to exist. Meaning Allah Ta'ala has created it. So the attributes of Allah Ta'ala, the author said, are eternal and everlasting and have no beginning or end. As for the creations, the attributes of the creations, they are originated, they have a beginning, and it is rationally possible or mentally possible for them to end. It is conceivable intellectually, not from the revelation we know paradise does not end. But to the intellect, just the intellect itself, the mind says, it could potentially end. Because it's not everlasting in and of itself, paradise. It's everlasting because Allah specified it to be everlasting. It's not everlasting by its nature, only because Allah Ta'ala willed for it to be everlasting. No. And in the next section, the author mentioned Allah's, the attributes of Allah.
So when you say Allah will it last forever, that means they show that Allah have power.
Absolute power, yeah. He specified it to last forever. And it's all easy for Allah. The attributes of Allah do not change, develop, or transform because those processes belong to the attributes of the creation. The attributes of the creation change, they develop, they transform from one state to another because Allah is their creator. Allah is specifying the creations to go through their changes. Okay, we talk about the weather. Look at how it was last week when we left. MashaAllah, incredible storm. And then a few hours later, Allah Ta'ala changed it. Yeah, this week is almost like last week prior to the storm, right? It was hot.
Yeah.
And then Allah Ta'ala sent this incredible storm. So Allah changes the creations, but Allah does not change. No. So Allah is the creator of the world and what is in it. Allah is the creator of good and evil. Allah is the creator of the actions of the slaves, the people, for example, and other, the animals, the jinn, the angels. So Allah Ta'ala is the creator of everything. But the creations do not create. They don't create good or evil. They do not create any of their actions. The one who cuts an apple, like he has an apple, he cuts it. He's not able to put it back together like it was, right? He slices the apple. He can stick it back there. He can stick it on there, but is it as it was? No, because he doesn't create the action.
It never look the same.
It will never look the same. No. Person, he might cut his finger off. They can stitch it back on, but is it ever the same? No, it's never the same. So the humans, we don't create. And you know the story we mentioned when one of the deniers of destiny, he wanted to debate with one of the Sunni scholars. And our belief is Allah creates everything. Our actions, our thoughts, all of that. So the Qadari, the denier of destiny, he was debating and then he lifted up his leg. And he's saying, who lifted up this leg? So he wants to say, like, I created the action of lifting the leg. So for one, we know he doesn't in reality. How did he send the nerves and make his nervous system lift up his leg? Could he explain the reality of it? No, that alone will tell you he doesn't create his own what? Actions. How does he maintain his balance? You follow? We walk and we take it for granted, right? Person gets an injury, a head injury affects the ear, the person can't even stay up.
He got no balance no more.
Doesn't have balance anymore. So that's one point. So when he lifted his leg up the qadr, he said, who lifted this leg? Who made me lift this leg? He says, I did it. And then what did the Sunni tell him? Now lift up your other leg. Discussion is over. He's lifted up one. Can he lift up the other one now?
Is it possible?
No, he can't.
Not why the other no.
Not with the other one. So that's it. So it shows that we don't create our own. We don't create our own actions. Only Allah Ta'ala creates. We went back to saying Allah's Al-Wahid, and the first meaning we said was what? One without a partner, meaning no one is the creator except Allah. That's it.
Well, Allah gave us the will, but Allah controls the will.
The will, even the will, because that's related to what? Your mind and your mental process. How do you formulate your intention? You can't get to the reality.
You can't get to the reality.
You can't get to it. It's an intention. We came here on purpose.
Yeah.
You weren't just driving down the street in the car, just like pulled you into the driveway. You had the intention. Inshallah, I want to attend the lesson tonight, and you got here. Alhamdulillah, mashallah.
Yeah.
But how did you formulate that intention? You can't get to the reality of it. It's not like the action what you do what involuntarily.
Yeah.
You follow? Sometimes if you go out now or earlier today, you will what? Sweat.
Right.
Most of us will sweat. Even if you don't want to sweat, you're still going to what? Sweat. So the sweating is an involuntary action, whereas your choice to come to the lesson, this is a voluntary action. But still, you can't get to the what? Reality of how you formed your intention.
Right.
You know something is going on.
And even if you have sometimes like your intentions to do something, it still doesn't happen the way you want it to.
That's why y'all go back to saying everything is the will of Allah.
Everything that happens is by the will of Allah.
By the will of Allah.
Inshallah, we'll stop here for this session and then continue.